Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle. I've got kind of an interesting video idea today that I hope you guys will enjoy. I'm kind of calling this my 2022 Prog preview show, where I kind of talk about what you can expect in the world of Prog this year and the things that I'm at least excited about in the world of Prog. It's more of a personal list, I guess. I know you guys are all going to have your own personal lists that are very different than mine, of things that you're looking forward to in the year, whether it's different album releases or concerts or just stuff in general that you're looking forward to accomplishing in the world of music, maybe personal goals, or you're going to buy this many records, you're going to listen to this many albums, whatever the case may be. These are kind of my, this is my preview for my year that I'm expecting, almost, things I'm looking forward to, the goals that I have, at least with the channel and with my music habits and so forth. So that's what I'm going to get into. And I'm going to try to keep it compact and in a good format here. So let's get into it. So the big piece of this that I wanted to really get through, this is going to be the main part of the video here, is kind of the release calendar of upcoming albums. And these are ones that I plan to basically feature on the channel, probably in their own separate album review, as it were. So these are the albums that I'm getting excited about from the big artists that I love. This is my bread and butter. These are the bands that I follow and really get excited for. So the first on the list for me is on January 28th, Big Train's Welcome to the Planet. Of course, is a big release that's coming. This is going to be, unfortunately, their final album with David Lungden on it. Comes hot off the heels of their last album, Common Ground, that came out last year, that was in my top 5 albums for the year. In my big tournament bracket, it was in the finale with Mir's album. So, of course, I'm a huge Big Train fan. And they've released several singles. They've released, probably over half the album at this point through the various singles that they've released through the weeks. And everything I've heard from it has been fantastic. So I'm really excited to listen to the album in full and give my full, complete thoughts on it. I've been seeing other people's reviews pop up here and there, so it's definitely out there. People are listening to it, reviewers and people who have it in that kind of press format. I don't have it yet. I'm just kind of a music listener like you guys out there who are in the same boat as me. So waiting for the release to come in. I pre-ordered the album and excited for it. So on the same day we get Jethro Tull and the Zealot Gene, which I'm excited for. I'm not a huge Jethro Tull guy. I really love Thick as a Brick and Passion Play and Aqualung. Those kind of classic early 70s albums is right in my wheelhouse of what I love, but beyond that I haven't explored too much. I'm thinking to do sort of an album rankings for Jethro Tull and introduce myself to a lot of these records I haven't heard. But I'm excited for this new release. I love when these big powerhouse bands kind of come back into the limelight and kind of have a resurgence, or have a great late album career. And there's been some positive feedback so far from the reviews that have come out, so I'm excited for that. Then moving onward, we have on February 18th, Star One, Revel in Time. This is Ari and Anthony Lucason's big project. This is, every song is based on a different sci-fi story, whether it be a movie or a TV show. This one's based on different stories of time travel, and he's been teasing all of the guest vocalists. He brings on a whole host of different guest musicians and guest vocalists to help pad out the album. This isn't Arion, this is a separate thing, but it has a lot of the same vibe and the same kind of DNA, of course. So it's a little bit in a heavier style, but it's really exciting to see what might be done with this release, and I'm really excited. In fact, he brought on so many guests that it has 2 discs where it's the same set of songs but done by a different set of vocalists. So that should be pretty interesting. So I'll be getting into that. On the same day, February 18th, is Jonas Lindberg and The Other Side, and the release called Miles from Nowhere. This is a new artist to me, but it's coming out on the Inside Out record label. And I usually love the releases, and he has a lot of the same influences that I'm into. I believe Roina Stoltz plays on the big kind of epic track on it, so there's some Flower Kings DNA in the mix there. But all the things I've heard from it have been really excellent. I'm really excited. It's just kind of classic symphonic prog. He has a lot of the same influences in his music that are bands that I love, like Spock's Beard and Flower Kings, and he talks about Pink Floyd being a big influence. So that should be a really cool release that's coming out that I'm excited to talk about. On February 25th, DiVirgilio, Morse, and Jennings are coming out with Troika. It's going to be more in that singer-songwriter, Crosby, Stills, and Nash kind of vein. So that should be a really cool release. Of course, anything that involves Neil Morse is already on my radar, but adding in Nick DiVirgilio and Ross Jennings from Haken just makes it kind of a slam dunk for me. So I'm really excited for that release. Definitely be talking about it quite in depth. Then on March 4th, a couple of really interesting releases here. One, The Flower Kings by Royal Decree is coming out, which should be really, really good album. The Islands that they came out with previously was really excellent. I like it even more as I listen to it more. It kind of uncovers some deeper themes and things that I didn't catch through in my first few listens. So I've really appreciated that. This seems like in kind of the same vein as Waiting for Miracles and Islands, kind of set up in a similar way, kind of a lengthy album, but no epics. It's just a lot of different tracks. So it should be a really cool release that I'm excited for, especially if it's in the same vein as Islands, which I thought was really a great release. But on that same day of March 4th is Marillion, An Hour Before It's Dark. So Marillion I've talked quite a bit about on the channel is a band I struggle with a bit because I want to like them, because people who like all the same bands as me tend to like Marillion as well. It's just kind of one of those seminal modern prog bands that just seems to be loved by pretty much everybody. But, you know, I kind of go back and forth on them. I like certain releases. Some don't really connect with me quite as much. So I'm always continually trying to develop a taste for their music a bit more. And so I'm excited to delve into this one. And especially as it's the first new album since I've been doing this channel, it could be cool to give kind of a fresh perspective and review on it. So I'm definitely going to feature it. All right. And so then we move from there to April 1st. Hopefully it's not an April Fool's joke, but I don't think it is. Pattern Seeking Animals and their album Only Passing Through. I love Pattern Seeking Animals. I thought their previous release, Prehensile Tales, was just totally excellent. One of my favorite albums of that year. I thought it was a little bit of a step up even from their debut, which was already excellent as well. Definitely have a lot of shared DNA with Spock's Beard. It's kind of like several members of Spock's Beard kind of branched off and did this separate project. John Bochhold is kind of the main writer and the one who kind of brought this group together, but it features Dave Maros, of course, Ted Leonard, who's now the front man of Spock's Beard, and then Jimmy Keegan, who's played drums for Spock's Beard as well. So definitely a cool lineup. They do a cool blend of like cool proggy stuff, but a little bit of pop sensibilities in the mix, and just creates some really great, cool songs that just have a really good vibe to them. They're willing to throw in different things in the mix and make it varied and very interesting. So I'm sure that's going to be an excellent release. And then as the last big one for me that has like a set release date is Porcupine Tree's album Closure/Continuation, coming out June 24th. Which is crazy that it's so far in the future. Like, why did they have to put it out that far? I'm sure it has to do with kind of the crazy situation with vinyl production being so delayed and so forth. They want to make sure that everything's ready to go and that they have the resources they need to make the release work for them, but it's just so far away in the distance. But really an exciting one for us Porcupine Tree fans, because it's been a long time since their previous record, The Incident, and I was under the impression that Porcupine Tree was pretty much dead. So to see them come back after all this time is really exciting, and I really can't wait to see what they come out with on this record. So it should be really fun. Well, there's a smattering of releases that I don't think have concrete release dates, but should be coming out. The Deer Hunter should be coming out, the new record in this spring called Anti-May, which is kind of the first full-length release in this Indigo Child universe that they've been working on. They released Indigo Child, kind of a short film, and a release that was like a couple singles and a soundtrack that came out this past year. But this should be the first full-length, full-band kind of production, and they're going on tour for it in the springtime. But I don't think they've set a very set date yet, but it should be coming. The Tangent has been talking about a new album, Songs from the Hard Shoulder. I've seen Andy Tillison talk about it on Facebook. Should be coming out around June next year, kind of around when the Porcupine Tree album's coming out. Sounds like he's pretty excited about the direction of it, and that it should be kind of in that classic Tangent vein of kind of this, progressive rock with some jazz tendencies and Canterbury type feel, but rooted in symphonic prog, similar to Yes and those styles. So definitely a band I'm always looking for. Southern Empire should be coming out with the album Another World sometime in the first half of the year. Their previous album, Civilization, was just totally one of my favorites at the time it came out. Just kind of that classic symphonic prog style that I love, very much in the vein of like Transatlantic and Spock's Beard and Flower Kings. Just really hits that note and just does it in a really strong, powerful way. Really loved that. And then Unitopia kind of reuniting with their new album Seven Chambers should be coming out sometime this year. Not really clear on the date on that, but they just announced a rhythm section that involves Chester Thompson. So I thought that was kind of cool news that they announced, just kind of this powerhouse rhythm section that's going to kind of bolster up their sound. Should be a fun return for that band. Then a couple just other ones that maybe aren't as high on my radar, but I've kind of have earmarked here just because of the interest. Tears for Fears is releasing a new album, The Tipping Point, on February 25th. So that should be exciting. I know a lot of people kind of like them. And Steven Wilson's kind of involved with the Atmos makes and all of that kind of stuff with the release. Michael Romeo, War of the Worlds Part 2 is coming out March 25th on Inside Out Records. So that should be a good release from the solo record from the guitarist of Symphony X. And then Ryo Okamoto should be coming out with a solo album. Of course, the keyboardist of Spock's Beard is planning a release possibly in June this year or around that time, called Myth of Mostrophus, that he's been talking about working on and so forth. So those are the big releases that I'm really excited about based on my influences, but I know you guys out there might have different releases that you are into. I'm sure there's other bands that have releases upcoming, so if you have any that you're looking forward to, please put that in the comments. I'd be excited to know about it, because maybe I'll cover it on an upcoming episode. So the other thing I want to talk about, kind of as preview for the next year, the concerts that I'm planning. Now, this is kind of tough to talk about because after being sick all this time, and so like the idea of going out and going to a concert is a little bit daunting at the moment, and so my ability to go to these concerts might, I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with these, but these are the ones that are kind of on my radar that I'm considering. The first that I'm considering is Dream Theater. They have a tour coming through, and it was postponed. It was supposed to happen the end of last year, but it's postponed to like February, March of this year. So coming to my area on February 5th at the Microsoft Theater in LA. That should be a really cool concert. Their opening act is Arc Echo, which is a cool instrumental prog metal kind of group. So that should be cool. Neil Morse Band is touring. Looks like they're moving full steam ahead with their tour coming up. I have tickets. My dad got me tickets a while back. Of course, it was postponed into this year, but we still have the tickets to go see them in Seattle on February 22nd. So that one's in the books. I was interested in the Deer Hunter coming over here to Pomona on Saturday, March 5th. So they're on tour here in North America. Leprous as well on March 22nd. And also Riverside, April 9th. All coming through to the same venue here near me in Pomona. So that should be some cool bands that are doing touring and so forth. So these are mostly focused in North America because that's where I'm at and what I'm interested in here. But a lot of these bands are touring also in the UK and overseas and in Europe. And I'm sure there's other bands of note touring as well. Transatlantic is doing a small tour in April as well. So I already have tickets to see that April 23rd in LA. Steve Hackett is doing a tour I was interested in. He actually added a date in LA, a second date. So considering that one for Steve Hackett, who does a lot of like Genesis material, I think he's doing the Seconds Out tour and then a bit of his solo material. So that should be cool. I've got tickets for Nightwish on May 20th at the Wiltern. So that should be a cool evening. Jana's really excited about that one. We're kind of doing that in tandem with our anniversary as well. And then I was interested also in the Symphony X and Haken sharing kind of a co-headlining bill coming here at the end of May, early June. So those are kind of the concerts I'm considering. Some I've got tickets for, some not quite yet. I'm still kind of deciding because it depends on scheduling. It depends on my comfort level with the venue it's at and who I can go with and that kind of thing. So, but I just thought that would be fun to kind of preview that and the concerts that I'm thinking of attending. And let me know if there's other concerts out there that you think would be worthwhile as well. So those are just the ones that have stuck out to me as I've perused different things coming up. I'm always thinking of concert options and ideas because my dad loves to go to concerts. It's kind of the way we bond together, is going to concerts together. And of course, we haven't been able to do that in, a couple years because of the pandemic. So he's really eager and itching to go out to some of these tours, but it always has to be exactly the right kind of experience because, my dad's a little older and he doesn't want to stand the whole time or doesn't want to, feel uncomfortable in a venue, or he doesn't like things that are too heavy. I have to kind of figure out the perfect kind of set of circumstances that will work for both of us. So sometimes that's difficult to do with some of these bands. So, but those are kind of what I'm thinking of. And then I just kind of wanted to update on the channel this year, what I'm kind of thinking. Not really thinking anything radically different than what I've already been doing. I kind of feel like I've gotten the note a few times that my videos go a bit over long. So I've been thinking about shortening my videos a little bit more. I don't want to curtail what I have to say too much. I don't want to get in my head too much of I have to cut this short. I can't talk and say this thing. I want to be able to say what I want to say, so I don't want that to kind of hinder me in any way, but it's something I'm thinking about because I can understand that it's hard to want to click on a video that's 40 plus minutes long or something. Certain subjects I think warrant longer lengths, but it depends. I probably go on too long in certain scenarios. So that's something I have actively in my brain, especially with these album ranking type shows. Maybe I speed through kind of some of the bottom ranked albums and spend more time on the higher ranked ones. I'm kind of considering different format changes. I think a lot of my year-end content was a bit long and could have been shortened down a bit. So thinking about that stuff. I plan to keep up the routine of New Music Friday. Nothing should change with that. And I'm not really planning to change much when it comes to Jana Reacts. I think that's working. People really like those shows. So I'm going to sprinkle through the year my album reviews, kind of give solo spotlights on, notable albums that I'm really excited for, give them their own show, but try not to go too lengthy with it. And then I'm going to keep doing these new music shuffles that I like to do. When I come up with several albums that I enjoy and that I want to recommend, but I don't have enough material to do a full-length episode, or there's just too many albums coming out that I feel like grouping them makes sense. I like those as kind of a way to recommend several albums at once, but I really like that side of the channel. Sometimes I worry, I talk about this sometimes, that some people are more into certain things about the channel than others. Some people like my album recommendations. Some people like mainly the Jana React side that we do. As we react to older progressive rock songs, and that's okay. You can click on whatever videos appeal to you. You don't have to watch all of it. But I like kind of having the different types of shows that come out, and I think it gives me some variety and some interesting things to talk about. So I'm really excited to have a full year worth of content to derive from and to talk about. What I also wanted to kind of talk about, maybe I'll get into it more in the next episode so I don't go on too long, is my spending habits have gotten a little out of control when it comes to records. This past year, I bought a lot of records in 2021 because I was excited to show them off on the channel and such. But I'm trying to think of a way to be able to buy some but not go overboard. I want to be more selective about what records I choose to purchase. So I might not be doing as many vinyl hauls or showing off different vinyl purchases and so forth. I'm probably going to be very much more restrictive. And I say that now, but things might escalate later in the year. I don't know. But I just want to be more thoughtful about what I'm putting money towards. I don't want to just get kind of caught up in the hype of a new album coming out and just buy it sight unseen and then, you know, regret it later. Like, that wasn't worth putting that money towards it or whatever. So I'm just thinking about those things right now and trying to figure out what I should do in terms of vinyl purchasing and so forth. And if you guys have any ideas in the comments or things you've done to help restrict yourself because of budget concerns and such, you know, it's just something I'm thinking about. I don't even know why. Maybe it's a bit too open to mention it here in this forum, but just something I'm thinking about as goals for the upcoming year. And this is kind of what this video is about, like what I'm looking forward to, what I'm expecting will happen in terms of my music experience. And so I want to keep finding a lot of new albums, a lot of new music. I want to really be kind of a voice for discovery of great new albums. So I'm going to spend a lot of time listening to new music this year and trying to recommend all the albums that I come across and give you guys my thoughts. I also want to emphasize that I'm not a music critic. You know, I'm a music appreciator. You know, I recommend albums. I'm never going to talk about albums that I don't like on this channel because I don't tend to be very critical as a person anyways. So I leave that to other people who can be a bit more critical when it comes to talking about the music and analyzing it and so forth. I'm going to just be positive and bring out the good and talk about what I enjoy. So just want to put that out there as well, that's my focus for this year, is just enjoyment of music, bringing out what's good in music and what I like, and trying to diversify and find lots of different things, lots of great new music. So that's my year in Prague for 2022. I hope that it will go as well as I'm planning. It'll be funny to look back on this video and see if things played out as I expected, and which of these albums ended up being great, which of these concerts I ended up attending, if any, and what I did in terms of vinyl buying and purchasing. So let me know in the comments what your guys' plans are with music and with Prog for the year 2022, and what you guys are expecting in terms of new albums coming out, or concert experiences, or just your own personal experience of how you want to listen and experience music this year. So thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. Hopefully you had fun with it and appreciated some of the things here, and I hope you guys will catch me in a future video. So thank you guys so much. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video, all that stuff. I appreciate all the support, and hope you guys are just having a great time out there and are enjoying the music. So thank you guys, and see you in this future video. Bye.